Round 5 of the FIM MX1 MX2 Motocross World Championship took place in Beto, Carrero in Brazil in horrendous conditions after overnight rain flooded the circuit. Jeremy Van Hoorbeek led initially and then fell coming out of turn 1, handing the advantage to Tommy Searle on the Kawasaki. Van Hoorbeek picked himself up and fell back down again, and eventually would finish in 3rd position despite being overtaken by the likes of Max Anstey and Geordie Tixier and 1 or 2 others. But as the race went on, Tommy Searle, he also made a mistake after making a bit of an error in a corner. He came back to change his gloves, he dropped back to 4th and then took his place back in the race, and eventually he closed down on the riders ahead of him and started to make tracks through the field, and Tommy Searle found a way through on Christophe Charlier to take the lead with a couple of corners to go on that particular lap. So Tommy Searle was back in front, Charlier was down in 2nd, having his best ride of the year, and Jeremy Van Hoorbeek was 3rd. But it was a win for Searle from Charlier and Hoorbeek. In MX1, race 1, Commander Sal was nearest the camera as he got off to the start, but it was Christophe Pourcel who didn't have the best qualifying race on Saturday, but he pulled the whole shot, and from there he never looked back, winning the race by more than 1.5 minutes. Behind him it was left to the likes of Rui Gonçalves, Dean Ferris, Kenny Bobryshev and Tanel Leoc, maybe even David Philipparts as well. Tony Cairoli was having not the best of rides and would eventually come home in 8th place. Dean Ferris, though, he was on the charge, as too was David Philipparts, and Philipparts found a way past first Evgeny Bobryshev, and then immediately after that Rui Gonçalves. Dean Ferris was in 2nd until he made this mistake. That allowed David Philipparts to go around the outside into that 2nd place, but it's Christophe Pourcel who eventually came back to win the moto. David Philipparts was 2nd. Clement de Sal, he went out with a couple of laps to go and was classified as 13th, not doing his championship any good at all. But the flag went out and it was Pourcel, Philipparts and Paulin. MX2 race 2 got underway in drying conditions here, although the track was still very, very tricky indeed. Tommy Searle managed to sneak around the inside. He challenged Jose Boutron for the lead, but Boutron, well, he was proving to be quite a tough little character, particularly in the first 3 or 4 corners. The two almost came together, and Boutron actually led for a couple of laps before Tommy Searle found a way through. Christophe Charlier made another good start. He was 3rd in the early laps before dropping off the pace for a couple of laps. But Tommy Searle, once he found his way through into 2nd position, he was then our leader from about lap 2 onwards. Jeffrey Hurlings was having a better ride. He started in 5th place, tailed Joel Roulanche for a few laps before eventually coming home in 3rd. Tommy Searle found a way past Jose Boutron to secure the lead on lap 2, and we then come home 13 laps later to take the checkered flag. Behind him, Jose Boutron was 2nd, Hurlings was 3rd, and Joel Roulanche was 4th, with Christophe Charlier in 5th. And that was good enough for Charlier to finish 2nd overall. Boutron finished in 3rd, with Tommy Searle making 2 wins out of 2 and taking the overall Grand Prix victory. There you see on the podium, Tommy Searle, Christophe Charlier and Jose Boutron. Jeffrey Hurlings, though, continued to lead the World Championship despite not finishing on the podium this weekend.
Our track was so bad out there, but I really didn't want to think they, or didn't want to and didn't think they was going to run another race, but they did, and now I'm really happy they did. The track's brutal and it's days like this where you can either make a lot of points or lose a lot of points, and luck went my way today and I went 1-1, so I couldn't be happier.
Well done.
Thank you.
MX1 race 2, and Sebastian Pourcel up the inside, but there was a bit of carnage going through the first turn. 1 or 2 riders going down. One of them, Tony Cairoli, in front of our onboard camera there, Rui Gonçalves. The initial leader was number 4, Tanel Leoc, but he soon came unstuck and was passed by the 377 of Christophe Pourcel. Behind them, Xavier Borg was having a good ride. He was 3rd in the early stages, and so too was Kevin Strybos on the HM Plant KTM UK machine. He found himself in 4th ahead of Bobryshev and Rui Gonçalves. Clement de Sal was on the charge as well. Tony Cairoli, another nightmare for him, picked himself up off the deck found himself finishing in 9th place in the final stages of the race. But behind them, Sean Simpson and Sebastian Pourcel. Well, Pourcel would lose that battle, crashing through this turn here towards the end of the race and not picking up any points. But our race leader, Christophe Pourcel, started to fade around the halfway point, and it was a win for Xavier Borg from Commander Sao, Kevin Strybos. Christophe Pourcel finished 4th, but that was good enough for him to win the overall Grand Prix. And your overall Grand Prix looked a little bit like that. Pourcel from David Philipparts, and the 3rd place rider, Kevin Strybos. Again, just like in MX2, our championship leader failed to finish on the podium this weekend, but once again, another red plate delivered to Antonio Cairoli. He still leads the championship after round 5.
You know, like you said, I missed it pretty bad on the second moto at the end of it, because I made a big mistake with the lappers, and then Xavier passed me, and then I was second, and I was like, I'm gonna follow him, and then maybe try to make the move at the end of the race, and then I made some mistake, and then they finally passed me, and I finished 4th. So I was really sad about this, but you know, it's good to stay on 2 wheels and win the GP in the mud race.
Well done.